You want the good news or the bad news first? The bad news is there's books like this that preach the law of attraction. Now, the law of attraction isn't inherently bad in and of itself. It's just lacking a lot of the stuff to make it work. People read this book or they see The Secret, maybe you have, getting in that positive state, your thoughts are things attracted out there. And if it doesn't happen, they can start feeling worse about themselves. This thing that's supposed to work for everyone all the time and it doesn't work for me. What's wrong with me? I suck. Before we go on that rant, let's give you the good news. If you feel like the law of attraction, if manifestations are not working for you, if you kind of feel like you're in a rut, I hope to explain why in this video, a law that's actually more important than the law of attraction. And if you just do this one law, you almost won't need the law of attraction because I'll show you why. Enter the law of vibration. And we're covering that in this video, exactly how to use it, why it matters, and what it can do for you. And yes, I spent about 20 minutes drawing this up for you ahead of time, so smash that like button. There's multiple ways we could explain this to you, okay? So I think the best one comes from David R. Hawkins, legendary psychologist in the space, and he wrote several books such as Letting Go, right? Power versus Force. A lot of other books as well. There's two sources of motivation that you can go out and operate in life with. There's force, right? If you ever felt like you're forcing things like, oh, I don't want to get up today, but I guess my alarm went off and I snoozed it 10 times, so I'll get out of bed at 5 a.m. because that's what successful people do. That's force. Versus power is finding like, can't wait to do my job, can't wait to serve. That's the power that's going to get you out of bed. He says that power actually has higher emotions attached to it versus force is more just getting by. So what he did is he measured people on a series of muscle tests, which I know has a little, some people want to debate that, but again, intuitively this stuff makes sense, I think. You don't even need to see studies. It's just like, oh yeah, that's definitely higher emotions than that, right? He found energies or vibes, right? Vibes of different emotions and calibrated them. He came up with this thing called the Hawkins Chart, and I'll walk you through it briefly. We'll tie a bow on this and why this matters to you. And more importantly, I'll show you how to apply it. You can see there's kind of 5 sections here. And if you can read my chicken scratch, there's a ton of emotions. There's even more than this, but I tried to simplify it. Let's start at the bottom here. Okay, so at the very bottom, we have suffering emotions. These are things such as shame, guilt, apathy, and fear. Now, even when I say those like shame, guilt, just think of how you would act if you were shameful or guilty, right? You'd be like, hunched over, you'd be breathing shallow. That's not a very good spot to live in, right? Then we have some emotions that are a bit higher than that, which are getting by. Like you could get by life, you're not necessarily suffering, but life isn't really, blissful and flowing. Desire, anger, pride, and courage. You see a lot of this in the news. You see a lot of this in the politics. You see a lot of this at high level companies with CEOs and boardrooms, right? Nothing inherently wrong there to judge them by. It's just lower. We have neutral emotions, which is kind of where things start to flip and life starts to become better when you live from this place, like neutrality, willingness. Flowing, which is really cool, which is acceptance, love, before you get to bliss, which is more of joy and peace. Again, intuitively, you want this, you don't want this. So now let's tie a loop to the law of attraction versus the law of vibration. This says that things that vibrate together are on the same level. You are what you attract. Manifesting is not creating. The tuning fork analogy, right, that I use in every video. You hit a tuning fork, boo, and right there, those pitches, they kind of harmonize into one right there. That's similar to how your left and right hemisphere of your brain sync up during like meditation or some psychedelics, right? It's called hemisync, when the two sides are vibrating together and it's like ultimate power that you have right here in your brain. That's what happens. Now, that's an example of things vibrating together and it's much more powerful. So why I'm telling you that is because you attract, right? And this is a theory. I believe time and time in my life and other people's lives, and you can probably agree with this, you attract what you are, not what you want. So if you are coming from a place of these emotions down here, what do you think is going to attract and show up in your life? Maybe more anger, desire, apathy, guilt, shame. And then when you find people who are in this, of course it's going to be like, whoa. You're always going to be looking up to them and you're never going to be there. This is why people get stuck in the consumption route of videos like this sometimes. They don't know how to get out of this stuff, if that makes sense. And they're just looking up to people online like, oh, they have something I don't. Oh, maybe if I follow them, I can be like them. And that's not the goal of these videos, right? Like we're just having conversations here. I don't want you like looking up to this unattainable thing. And Lord knows there's some things about me you probably don't want to be, okay? But being the best version of you, this comes from like letting go of some of this stuff here, which we'll talk about next, so you can naturally move up right here. Question, What happens when you're living your life from this, from power and not force? How are the people in your life going to be? Are they going to be lower and like negative to be around, or do you think you're going to attract some more positive people in your life? Definitely. What about the opportunities? Do people who are more fun to be around, do people who are more like easy to talk to, who you like being around, do you think they get better opportunities than people living in this space who just like, oh, I don't want anything with that guy? Absolutely. Now, short term, sure, maybe some of these people in corporate, right? I know you have examples right now in your head. You're like, oh, what about this guy? He was a total asshole and he moved up and my boss sucks. Okay, yeah, short term, but long term is what we're talking about. Here's another way to look at this. Using my art degree, I drew you up a hot air balloon. Perfect analogy. And I go over this with my coaching clients in metamorphic coaching, which if you want to apply, again, it's down below in the description. We're happy to have that conversation. If it's a fit, I'll hop on the phone and just kind of explain it a bit more and see if we can help you. But this is really the focus of week 3. We talk about how we don't always become the highest versions of ourselves that we can imagine. We kind of default to the lowest levels that we can accept. And what this is the analogy I want to give you. This right here is the hot air balloon. Now, here's what happens. Most people approach change, approach vibes and raising their vibe and getting in a better mood, right? And fixing my mindset. They approach it like this. Here's what I want. Here's what I'm in. So I know right here in this hot air balloon, I'm going to try and get that to take off, to go high, right? That's what I want. So I'm going to just stuff this hot air balloon full of as much gas, as much helium as I can get it. And so this hot air balloon starts getting more and more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? But if you don't fix this one thing that I'll tell you, it doesn't take off. What happens if you have all that potential right there, but you still have these giant sandbags holding you down? These are what I use in my studio to make sure lights don't fall on me. Like this thing right here, it's pretty heavy. Imagine if I was carrying around this all day, right? Just like this throughout the day. I'd get so exhausted and so tired. I'd have no energy. This is what most people do with the baggage, metaphorically speaking, throughout their life. They just carry it around with them throughout the day. No wonder they don't have any energy to manifest or go after the things they want in life. These sandbags right here are literally sucking down the hot air balloon. My point, it doesn't matter how much more motivation, how many morning routines, how many YouTube videos, how much journaling, all this stuff can help. But if we never address the sandbags in your life, of course, raising your vibration, of course, the law of attraction, of course, manifesting what you want will never happen. And if it feels like you're just consuming, but you're not applying stuff, right? If education has just become entertainment for you, my bet is that it's better to look at some of this stuff than just try to focus on stuffing more air in that balloon, hoping it takes off. How do you get rid of this? Which is what so many videos don't talk about. And so much coaching is just about, let me motivate you. Let me give you another tactic. You can do it, right? That's not what you need sometimes. And my job as a coach in these videos and in that program is to give you what you need, not what you want. Okay? And so we actually have you work with a coach and do some NLP shifting, inner alignment work that people get insane results from in like 1 or 2 sessions. Because again, it's one thing to like hear about it in a YouTube video, but if you want to be put to work, that's what we have you do. I want you to experience this for yourself. Something that I did and clients have done within like 1 or 2 sessions. I mean, I get messages all the time like I struggled with XYZ and now it's like effortless. So maybe for you, that's seeking out a coach or that's seeking out journaling or getting to the root of some of these right here so you can cut them free and raise yourself up. At the end of the day, this is really healing. Okay, and so things like therapy, things like coaching, things like shadow work, things like inner alignment stuff, that's where you're gonna get more benefit. But a lot of people don't wanna address it because it seems negative, and so they just consume positivity, right? And law of attraction, and yeah, it gives you a little spark like a kindling on a fire, but it burns up real quick and you're left with, not really any change. If you want help with this stuff, that is what we can do. Go apply down below or watch the free little 30-minute video of me kind of walking you through this. A little more if that's interesting to you. And if it's a good fit, we'll hop on a call and I'm happy to hear more about you and see if it's actually a good fit for you. This next point is very powerful. Okay. There's this belief out there that if you can be positive, if you can just think of what you want, it'll magically show up to you, AKA like the law of attraction. That is good. It has a time and place, but I think that there's a law that supersedes it, that comes before it, called the law of vibration, where this is basically saying you aren't what you want, you attract what you are. You manifest who you are. And so instead of just focusing on like our goals and our dreams and all this stuff, what if we focus on raising ourselves up so we can be in alignment with the life, the people, the money, everything you want? And if you never do this, you're gonna have sandbags holding you down. So no matter how much you stuff the hot air balloon, you can never take off. And that is the equivalent of raising yourself up. So what we're suggesting you do is watch some of our shadow work videos, watch some of our journaling videos, right? Work with a coach or someone to help remove some of these. And what you will find is that when you start removing some of these almost effortlessly and more naturally, you don't feel like you're forcing life. You feel like you can take your power back. And that's really when you get what you want. And if you never do this, the relationships you get, you'll find yourself attracting the same one over and over again, because the real truth is that you haven't changed. Nothing changes if nothing changes, and especially internally. That is my message to you today. Again, stop using the law of attraction, start using the law of vibration, baby. Like this video, subscribe if you're not already. Would love to have you in our community, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, stop settling, start living. See ya.